Vote blue no matter who. We hear this iconic line every single election cycle. Vote for a Democrat no matter what to make sure that a Republican doesn't win that seat. It makes sense on the surface, right? It's damage control in some regard. But, of course, this slogan only really works if you're a moderate. God forbid if you're a progressive or go against the status quo or establishment Democratic Party in any way. It's more so vote blue except for you. And some Democrats will even go further beyond than this, endorsing Republicans over their own progressive Democratic counterpart, right? Just as is the case with Governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, who, according to some new Axios reporting, privately told a union leader to endorse the MAGA Republican Stacey Garrity in a statewide election back in 2024, after he was criticized by the Democrat running Erin McClelland, who has responded to all of this, by the way, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Here is Bob Brooks, a congressional candidate and president of the Pennsylvania Firefighters Union, on his conversation with the governor back in 2024. Take a look.
Just like you and your union had supported candidates such as Stacey Garrity, can you talk a little bit about that? Because that seems to go against kind of what you're talking about here today.
So it was called funny, but that was a request, ironically, from Governor Josh Shapiro, because Erin McClelland was running against her. Josh Shapiro had requested because Erin McClelland came out hard about something on Josh Shapiro, and really the Democratic Party as a whole turned on Erin McClelland. And he said, I would like you guys to endorse Stacey Garrity. So we went with Stacey Garrity.
Stacey Garrity, by the way, is a hardline MAGA Republican extremist election denier who did win that election, right? She did win that seat, and she is now challenging Josh Shapiro to be the governor in Pennsylvania. Yeah, talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Now, I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that Bob Brooks has said in a statement that he, quote, misspoke and made an inaccurate comment, and that a spokesperson for Josh Shapiro said that this was inaccurate and that the government did not ask Bob Brooks to make any endorsements in that race, and the only races he is focused on winning are up and down the ballot this November. But people online were pretty quick to point out that we have audio of this whole exchange, and that's not what we heard. One user even writes, yeesh, I've misspoken plenty of times in my life. However, I don't know that I've ever misspoken an entire paragraph with such vivid detail about something I was directly involved in. Another user writes, how do you accidentally say Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro was mad at a Pennsylvania Democrat for criticizing him, so he propped up their Republican opponent? Weird thing to accidentally say to a group of college Democrats. Yeah, the backpedaling on this whole situation is, it isn't working, guys. Now you might be wondering, what did Erin McClelland say to upset Josh Shapiro that much, right? Well, let's take a look. And for a bit of context, remember back in 2024 that Josh Shapiro was kind of vying to be a VP pick for Kamala Harris. McClelland said, I want a VP pick that's secure enough to be the second under a woman, is content to be VP and won't undermine the president to maneuver his own election and doesn't sweep sexual harassment under the rug. I want someone that can speak to rural voters. That is Roy Cooper. So McClelland wanted Roy Cooper and thought Shapiro was too selfish or couldn't handle being number two to, a female president. But she also mentioned something pretty serious here, which did unfortunately happen. She was referring to Shapiro's team back in 2023 covering up this allegation against Josh Shapiro's top aide, Mike Vereb, who stayed at his job after these allegations came out for months after this complaint was made, and then he abruptly resigned. So, yeah, not a great look on Shapiro there, and in reference to the whole him not being up for being number two, well, that also checks out. Kamala Harris wrote in her memoir, 107 Days, about Shapiro, and she said, quote, at one point he mused that he would want to be in the room for every decision. I told him bluntly that was an unrealistic expectation. A vice president is not a co-president. I had a nagging concern that he would be unable to settle for a role as number two, and it would wear on our partnership. Every day as president, I said, I'll have 99 problems, and my VP can't be one. Now, Shapiro here claims that Kamala Harris is lying. He says, I can tell you that her accounts are just blatant lies. He continues saying, she's trying to sell books and cover her ass. She's trying to sell books, period. Okay, cool. No, yeah, cool. Honestly, that tracks for you, right? Throwing other Democrats under the bus just to make yourself look better? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm making of the point for in this video. And you just did that right there in an interview. So thanks for doing my job for me, I guess. That's cool. It's cool. It's fine. Makes my job easier. It's fine. There's also another wrinkle, a small detail in this whole affair. Some journalists have pointed out that McClelland was ready to divest from holding Israel bonds in the state's portfolio, and as the state treasurer, it's kind of part of the gig. Shapiro, a staunch supporter of Israel, may have disagreed with her politics on this issue, whereas a Republican opponent was totally for keeping the bonds. Either way, personally or politically, he made his choice. Shapiro backed a MAGA Republican, showing that vote blue no matter who is some outright bullshit. Erin McClelland has actually, as of today, responded to this whole story breaking, so let's take a look at what she had to say. She writes, "What goes around comes around. While this issue has come up a number of times since the 2024 election, I chose not to comment to reporters on the story simply because I didn't see any purpose or dutiful end to weighing in. But now that someone is actually on record saying what everyone else knew, Shapiro's fealty-frenzied troglodytes are revising history and in some cases, bold-faced lying, and I'm not going to just lay down for that." Whoa. Okay, yeah, the gloves are off here. Let's continue. I'd actually have more respect for him if he just said, "Hell yeah, I tanked that bitch." Instead, they're trying to desperately put the genie that Bob Brooks let loose back in the bottle. Since this is going to be an issue surrounding Josh's presidential campaign, it's not going away. I'll have a thing or two to say about this, and considering I spent all the fucks I have to give in 2024, I doubt I'll be delicate about any of it. But first, I have to set up a new Twitter handle. I deleted mine after Elon became more of an asshole than I could bear. And of course, send Bob Brooks a thank you note. Holy shit. McClelland is not afraid at all to go after Shapiro here. And you know what? Honestly, good on her. He screwed her over, the biggest name in Pennsylvania politics, who, has a lot of sway when it comes to his endorsements, decided to privately push for your opposing candidate who's a MAGA Republican. The governor, the Democratic governor, right, chose to back a MAGA Republican over his own party just because he got his feelings hurt. Right? The thin skin, right? In politics, you have to have a thick skin. You have to be able to work with your party. You have to be able to do this job. And he got so upset by this tweet that he privately endorsed someone else. I mean, if this video gets seen by McClelland or someone who knows her, just let me know, because I would love to speak with her about this whole affair. I also think it's really important to remember that vote blue, no matter who, has to go both ways, right? The Democratic Party just can't count on progressives to just vote for them all the time anymore, right? You can't just assume that all of us will fall in line and do exactly what you say if you don't extend that same courtesy back to us. When progressives win the primaries, they deserve the full support of the Democratic establishment of the party. But for well over a decade, we know very well that Democrats have done nothing but shit on and lie about progressives over and over. Hell, they fucked over Bernie Sanders twice. Centrist Democrats will work with far-right MAGA extremist neo-Nazis before a socialist, right? Every single day, because they're, they're propped up by the same sponsors. They're propped up by the same establishment, lobbyists, oil tycoons, and all of it, right? Because the reality of the situation is that both parties, work for the same corporate interests. And so if that means working for, a Republican over a Democrat who maybe disagrees with that, they'll pick it every single time. But we are seeing some changes in that regard, right? The Democrat establishment endorsed Graham Plattner out in Maine, and he's a very progressive guy, right? But that's just one instance. We still haven't seen leadership positions given to AOC. They intentionally smear and slander progressive content creators like Hassan Piker. It's messy. It's messy. And the Dems have to remember that they have to earn each and every vote, right? They can't just count on votes basically saying, "Oh, the Republicans are bad, so you know who you have to vote for." It's like, yeah, actually give us something to vote for, and then maybe we'll be happy about it, and maybe we'll be energized and tell our friends to vote and go out and caucus and whatever the hell else, right? But a Democrat, an establishment centrist Democrat, endorsing a MAGA Republican in an election, crazy MAGA election denying Republican, endorsing that over your own party, yeah, it's not a great way to build a coalition, let's just say. It's not the big tent that we always talk about, right? It's not really what I would recommend if you want to get progressives on your side. But I think that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. If you like what you saw in this video, be sure to leave a like down below, and don't forget to subscribe to US Democratic Socialists, and also leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts about this and more. So do all that good stuff down below, and have a great day. I'm Iago Lashua. Goodbye.